So welcome to Kagyu Samyuzang Edinburgh, and so today we're going to start a new course. It sort of follows on from the Milarepa study course, but instead of using the songs of Milarepa, it's going to be the songs, the Dohas, the sacred songs in the Reign of Wisdom, which is in Tibetan the Kagyu Gurtso. So before we do that, we will say the introductory prayers, which is the lineage prayer. So if you'd like to, first of all, the supplication to the root Lama, and we can say it in English, chant it in English. So the supplication to the root Lama, and followed by the Vajradhara lineage prayer. O glorious, precious root Lama, above my head on a lotus moon seat, you care for me with great kindness. Please bestow the siddhis of body, speech, and mind. Great Vajradhara Tilo Naro Marpamila Dharma Lord Gampopa, knower of the 3 times, omniscient Karmapa, holders of the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages, Drikuntaklung and the Salpa, glorious Drukpa, and so forth. Masters of the profound path of Mahamudra, to the Dakpo instruction lineage, the peerless protectors of wanderers. Kagyu Lamas, I supplicate you, I uphold your lineage. Grant the blessings of your liberating lives. Just as revulsion is taught to be the legs of meditation, this meditator clings not to food and riches, and has severed the ties to worldly life. Grant your blessings for detachment from honor and gain. Just as devotion is taught to be the head of meditation, this meditator constantly prays to the Lama, who opens the vault of pith instructions. Grant your blessings for uncontrived devotion to well forth. Just as non-distraction is taught to be the body of meditation, this meditator simply remains without altering the fresh essence of whatever thought arises. Grant your blessings for parting from the concept of meditation. Just as thought is taught to be in essence Dharmakaya, for this meditator unhindered manifestation dawns. Nothing whatsoever dawning as whatever may appear. Grant your blessings to realize inseparable samsara nirvana. May I never in future lives part from authentic lamas, and embracing ever the glory of Dharma. May I perfect the qualities of the levels and paths, and thus swiftly attain the state of Vajradhara. So the lineage prayer is very important to begin our session with, and never more so than when we're going to study this course, which is the Reign of Wisdom, because these are the sacred songs, the holy songs, or Dohas they're called, from the lineage masters. And it sort of segues on from the Milarepa teachings, because those of you who did the Milarepa teachings, the songs of Milarepa, the last song that we did was where he gave the transmission of all the teachings, all the Kagyu teachings, to Gampopa. And so we're going to start with a song of Gampopa's. Now, it's quite odd the way, I shouldn't say it's odd, there must be some reason behind it, but for some reason the songs of Gampopa, which you'd think would be early on in the Reign of Wisdom, come right towards the end. There must be some reason for it, but it escapes me. I wasn't around when Michio Dorji put it together, so I'm sure he had his reasons. So the song that I've picked is called it's his response to the three men of Kham. Now, the Dohas, or the songs in general, they are songs of liberation. They're all by these Kagyu Masters who had reached liberation. And so the songs are born of their liberation. They're not historical documents of their lives, but they are from their lives of liberation. So in a way, it's a signpost to the things that mattered in their life, not the sort of day-to-day mundane, they did this at that year, and another year they did the other. The point is that it's all coming from their enlightened minds. So they're not just historical documents, but rather an insight into those lives. And we read them not just to appreciate their poetry or their beauty, but as an example, as an inspiration to guide us along the path, because that's what they're coming from, that point of view. Now, the essence of the songs can be epitomized by the advice that was given in the four dharmas of Gampopa, which I'm going to put in a very, very concise form. So the first thing is to align our minds. This is the advice of Gampopa: align our minds with the Dharma. So right now our minds are all over the place. It's like tuning in to the Dharma, to the truth of how things are. That's what we mean by the Dharma, the truth of how things are. So as far as we are able, obviously, we can only start where we are now. But we conduct our lives in that way. So we align our minds with the Dharma. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that our practice, our Dharma practice, becomes the path. When it's like if you tune in a radio or something, you know, right now we're a lot of white noise, we're not properly tuned in, we sort of drift in and out of the Dharma sort of thing. But when we're really attuned, then it becomes through loud and clear. And then we know what to do. Then we know what our practice is, how to practice. So that's the second thing, is let our practice become the path. That is our path. Our practice becomes the path. It should become the path. So we need to tune in, and then the Dharma is like, it becomes clear what we need to do. And so that becomes our practice, and we follow the practice, and that's the path. So by following that path, then our confusion, our previous confusion, dissolves, it's dispelled. And then the fourth thing is that once the confusion is dispelled, everything dawns as wisdom. So nothing has actually changed, nothing outwardly has actually changed, but how we're seeing it has changed. In other words, we were in the dark before, and then it's like the light switched on, you know. So once confusion is dispelled, then everything dawns as wisdom. So everything that before could have been confusing or perplexing becomes, we can see it clearly, and it becomes a source of wisdom. So, having already studied some of Gampopa's previous songs in the last course, we're going to start this new course segueing into the last of his songs, which was in response to the three men of Kham. When I say the last of his songs, I mean the last of his songs in the Reign of Wisdom. He's got a few songs in this. And then another reason for beginning with that particular Doha is that it features the three men of Kham. It is a response to the three men of Kham. You'll see there's a whole narrative which I'll read through. And the three men of Kham, Kham is a region of Tibet. Most of the Kagyu lamas seem to come from that. Not all, but most of them seem to come from that region. And so the three men of Kham are those who were destined to carry on the Kagyu lineage. Remember, really, with Gampopa, the Kagyu lineage in that form was in its infancy. You could say he was the founding father in that form. I mean, previous to that, we had Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, but with Gampopa, all the different strands came together and it became something called the Kagyu lineage. And then from him, it went to the various masters. What probably foremost amongst them was Dusum Champa, who became the first Karmapa, and he was one of the three men of Kham. So another reason for starting this course today is because today is also an anniversary, a very important anniversary, as it marks the passing into nirvana of His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. So the previous Karmapa to the present Karmapa was the 17th one, so the 16th one on this date, I don't know what year it was that he passed into nirvana. I think it was, I would be guessing, I'm not going to say the date, but it was on this day. And so so there's you might see behind that on the main Buddha, there's a little portrait, a very tiny portrait there. That is a picture of the 16th Karmapa. And I was given that in Bodh Gaya when it was Kagyu Monlam in Bodh Gaya. It's a very nice, check it out later, it's very nice. So anyway, so we remember him, and when passing into parinirvana is two things. Mainly his body died, but his mind passed into nirvana and became one with the Buddha. So we're going to be examining, exploring Lord Gampopa's response to the three men of Kham. And so first of all, the three men of Kham, one, as I said before, is Dusum Champa. He's not referred to as Dusum Champa because Dusum Champa means knower of the three times, and that was like the first Karmapa. But he wasn't called that at this point. So he often referred to, and this is Usei, which means the grey-haired one. He had grey hair from quite a young age. And then the second one is Pamodrukpa, and he also had an epithet, a name, Dorjal. So he's usually referred to as Dorjal. He was the founder, or became the founder of the Pamo Kagyu. And then the third one was Saltong Shogom. And he's referred to as Saltong Shogom. That's his name throughout. And he began the Tralag Chapgon line of Trangu monasteries. So those all became very illustrious people. And of course they were already highly realized at this point when they were with Gampopa. So I'll read some narrative to set the scene of where they were and what happened. It's important to get an understanding of that. It starts off, Namo Gurabe. Both the place and person have been prophesied by the victorious one. At Taklagompo, a place thick with rocky mountains, They're gathered around the incomparable physician of Dakpo, known as the Bhikkhu Jivaka, students of good karma from U, Sang, Kham, and elsewhere. They're talking about Gampopa here. Everybody's got lots of different names, but they're talking about Lord Gampopa. And when it says it's been prophesied by the victorious one, it means the Buddha. So this was prophesied many years before by the Buddha. So these students, it wasn't just the 3 men of Kham, there were 500 of these were like arhats. Furthermore, among the 51,600 total, so it was a big gathering. I mean, can you imagine 51,000 monks gathered? That's approximate, I equate it to the size of a fairly well-attended football match. That's sort of, I can visualize that sort of number of people. Sorry, I'm from Manchester, and that's how I can think of it. Anyway, there were 51,600 total who outwardly obeyed the Vinaya and inwardly practiced the 2 stages of yoga. And the 3 accomplished ones from Kham were supreme. So of all that 51,000, the 3 from Kham were the supreme students. When the 3 men of Kham were living at the Boulders Like Horses and Yaks, that's a place called Boulders Like Horses and Yaks, presumably because the boulders were like horses and yaks. Sultan Shogum, who was one of the men of Kham, said, "We of the lineage of Naropa must practice the 10th day celebration." So it's a very special day. Wouldn't it be best to do a Vajrabarahi Ganachakra? So that's the Ganachakra is a sacred feast. Vajrabarahi, also Dujipamo or Vajrayogini. So they wanted to do special practice and a great feast because it was a practice, must practice the 10th day celebration. Kampa Dorjal, that's one of the other 3 men, said, "But here we are bound by the drinking rule. If the head disciplinary monk finds out, we'll be punished." But Shogum did not listen. Now you might be surprised that these monks are talking about having a feast where drinking is involved. But you see, these were not ordinary monks. They were very highly realized, and because they practiced Vajrayana, there are certain practices where it's all one taste. It's a very high level, and it's not to be adopted by people who are not at that level. And you'll understand it soon. But part of the feast was to have something like a beer or something like that was specially brewed just for that purpose. They didn't not to get drunk or anything like that, but just because they'd gone beyond alcohol, not alcohol. Everything becomes one taste. Anyway, Kampa Dorjal said, well, yes, but here they've got that drinking rule, so maybe we better not. But Shogum did not listen. So they deliberated on what to do on this 10th day festival of the 1st month of the summer season. And they prayed to their root gurus. Each received permission from the precious guru to make chang, that chang is a Tibetan beer, to make a chang offering from 3 skull cups of barley. And so they brewed the chang with these 9 skull cups of barley. They each had 3 skull cups, and they brewed it in those skull cups. Now you'll see why these are not ordinary people. Dorjal herded logs for the fire behind Gampo Hill with his slingshot. Have you ever heard of herding logs? Logs to make a fire. So he had a slingshot and he herded the logs. This is a different level we're talking about. You're looking rather puzzled, as you well might. These are not ordinary people. So he herded logs like you might herd sheep, but he was after wood. So he herded the logs together with his slingshot. Usei, otherwise known as Usamchempa, brought the water in a net bag. Now, we can't carry water in a net bag, can we? Net is full of holes, isn't it? But Usei could do that. So he carried the water for the bear in a net bag. Shogun sent forth the wind from his fingertips and kindled the fire. They also found the other things necessary for the Ganachaka, for the feast. Now, we need to remember that these are very highly realized practitioners, and if you knew the songs of Milarepa, then you know that there's a point where you can become mastery of all the elements, where you can fly, where you can do all sorts of things that we find it very difficult to understand how a human being can do that. But they have gone to a different level. They have mastery over the elements and everything. And the practice is the path. It's very, very hard for us to get our heads around. So, but if you have faith in them and you see what they accomplished in their lives, which is how you develop faith, then we can keep an open mind, let's just say. So they got everything together, and then that evening they performed the sadhana, the practice of Vajravarahi, and their spirits were exhilarated. They made many offerings of song and dance. Moreover, they performed the great Kagyu folk dance with this famous secret song of supplication. So there's a song of supplication that we're going to look at. This is not a song that we're particularly going to study. It's fairly understandable, but we'll just read through it. On this occasion, let us Vajra brothers supplicate. Let us genuinely supplicate, and blessings will enter. So you see, if you have this real faith and genuinely supplicate, the blessings of the deities, of the lineage, of the Buddhas will enter. Without that kind of faith, you might as well not bother. So you supplicate genuinely. You who dwell on top of my head on the sun and moon seat, kind root guru, I supplicate you. So you always visualize the root gurus on your head, sitting above your head on the sun and moon seat, and you're supplicating the kind root guru. In the Akanistha Dharma Palace, Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara, I supplicate you. So great Vajradhara is Dorji Chang, the primordial Buddha. I supplicate you. In the east, in the precious monastery of Sahor, Tilo Prajnabhadra, I supplicate you. That's Tilopa. We know him as Tilopa, don't we? Tilo Prajnabhadra, I supplicate you. In the north, Pushpahari Monastery, learned Mahapandita Naro, that's Naropa, I supplicate you. In the south, in the monastery in the valley of Troa, translator Marpalotsawa, I supplicate you. In the highland pasture of Lachi Snow Range, Lord Shepherdorji, that's Milarepa, I supplicate you. In the east, in glorious Taklagampo, Dharmaraja, physician of Dakpo, I supplicate you. That's Gampopa. In the west, in the palace of Uddiyana, consort Vajravarahi, I supplicate you. You might call her Vajrayogini or Dorjipamo. In the cool grove charnel ground, Dharmapalas, Mahakala and Mahakali, I supplicate you, the protectors Mahakala and Mahakali. May obstacles of inner and outer adversities not arise. Please grant me the supreme and ordinary siddhis. Thus they made supplication and danced a great deal. The disciplinary monk of the monastery, The disciplinary monk Tajay heard them, and he came to see what was going on. "You three have gone against the general laws of the Sangha. Singing songs and dancing, all these violate our traditions and go against the Dharma law here. Therefore, you cannot stay here. You must leave right now," he said, and he beat them with sticks. I mean, they did have second thoughts about it, and, so this is what happened. The tradition there was not of that kind of level. Dorjal sang, "The ground is the field of equanimity," telling him how to drink Chang, but he would not listen. So he was trying to explain to this disciplinarian monk, but he would not listen. He said, "Leave tonight, or else in the morning as soon as you can see the road. Now be off." He didn't care, he went out of here. So, in the morning, the three men of Kham did not even have time to prostrate to their guru, Gampopa, and ask his permission to leave. Each brought with him the few belongings that he had. While they were hastily running down the grassy valley, Lord Gampopa, in the hermitage of Sewa cave above the monastery, so Gampopa lived in this cave above the monastery, was saying, "Last night I had a vision and saw great miracles in the streets of the monastery." The street, I mean, you remember it's 51,000 odd monks in there, so it's like a town with streets. And he had a vision, saw great miracles in the streets of the monastery. But this morning, all the Dakas and Dakinis are preparing to leave. So all the Dakas and Dakinis, the wisdom holders, you could say, they are not earthly beings, but he can see them. And they're preparing to leave. Therefore, he told Gomsal to go and find out what was happening. Lord Gomsal, who was probably his attendant, went out and saw that the birds were chirping louder than usual and that they were flying away down the valley. It seemed that the tops of the trees were also leaning to the south as well. And he saw the three men of Kham prostrating at the prostration ridge and then supplicating as they went down the valley. Gomsal returned and told the precious Guru, Gampopa, what he had seen. Gampopa said, "That is not good. The three men of Kham must have been punished, but this should not have been done. For many kalpas, these three have accumulated merit and cleansed their obscurations. Therefore, the quality of their experience in meditation and their varied behaviors and actions would be difficult for anybody to judge. They're too high a level for ordinary beings to judge, including the monks there. These three should stay here for the time being. If the head disciplinary monk has expelled them, I feel like going too. But instead, I will go after them and I'll tell them to come back up." Gampopa left the hermitage, went down from the hermitage of Sewa cave above the monastery. As he walked down on the south side of the grassy valley, behind the western hill, he saw the three men below in a steep ravine. At that point, the Guru, Gampopa, he climbed on top of a boulder, grasped the corner of his monk's robe with his hand, and signaled to them to come back up, singing the song known as Shomo, come back up. So he's standing on top of this boulder and he's singing for all he's worth, Shomo, come back up. "Kaye, listen, my three supreme heart sons. Don't go any further down. Come back up. Many births ago, we had a profound karmic connection in the presence of Lord Sambuddha, the Bhagavan, the protector, Shakyamuni. When I was ever youthful Chandraprabha, I requested and was granted the Samadhi Raja Sutra. At that time, you were the leaders of the Vajra brothers who had gathered there in a retinue of many 10,000s. So he's saying that many, many years ago, at the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, when Gampopa was incarnated as Chandraprabha, he requested and was granted this it means like the king of sutras. And you were the leaders of the Bhadra brothers, the monks that were there, who gathered in a retinue of many 10,000s. So from many, many years ago, they had known each other. They had a very, very special connection. And he carries on. Then the Tathagata spoke these words. The Buddha spoke these words. Tathagata means the one who has gone beyond. In the future, when the dark age has come, whoever spreads the meaning of this profound Dharma, the Samadhi Raja, will be the son of the Buddhas of the 3 times. He will be the best of physicians, curing all sickness of the kleshas. How the victorious ones will praise him is beyond description. So these are the words of the Buddha, and saying that whoever can spread the meaning of this Samadhi Raja, this king of Samadhis, will be the son of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, past, present, and future Buddhas. He will be the best of physicians, and he's not just talking about the fact that Gampopa will be a doctor, but the physician, the guru is also known as a physician, because we are like the patients, the guru is like the doctor, and the Dharma is the medicine. And he'll be able to cure all sickness of the kleshas, the afflicted mind, confusion, the confused mind. When he had repeated this again and again to everyone, I promised to spread that teaching. So this is Gampopa saying about that time when the Buddha had repeated this again and again, he promised to spread that teaching. I promised to spread that teaching. All those assembled here also made aspirations and vowed to help me. Then he's talking to the 3 men of Kham. You 3 that I'm talking to way down in the valley there, you were there at that time, and you made aspirations and vowed to help me. Because of our excellent previous aspiration, we have met again at this time. Those sharing in that karma and merit are fortunate. We were taught well that profound Dharma. Now we are established in the stage of non-returning. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. So we were together all those years ago, we were taught that profound Dharma, and now we are established. We have gone up many, many levels in our progression, in our spiritual progression, and we are now established in the stage of non-returning, meaning that we don't have to keep coming back again and again into samsaric existence, unless we choose to, for the sake of the Dharma as bodhisattvas, but we don't have to. So we're established in the stage of non-returning. So sons, he's calling his spiritual sons, don't go down any further, come back up. This excellent place, this divine Gampo mountain, is the palace of the ocean of divine yidams. This is a very sacred place. The great meditators who meditate in this place quickly attain the supreme and ordinary siddhis. The supreme powers and the ordinary powers, they can attain this because this place is so sacred, so special. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. I, the Father Guru, the great meditator, Nyewa, am the trustworthy spiritual friend. The disciple sons who depend on me quickly realize the Dharma of Mahamudra, the highest realization. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. The disciples who properly accomplish the command will certainly receive great benefit in this life and the next. There is no need for doubt. Have confidence. Let faith arise in your mind, fortunate ones. Sons, don't go down any further. Come back up. So he's talking to the disciples who properly accomplished the command that was prophesied by the Buddha will certainly receive great benefit in this life and the next. Let faith arise in your mind, fortunate ones. Don't go down any further, come back up. The yogic discipline of secret actions is your good friend, maintaining your practice throughout the 4 periods of the day. This heartfelt longing of devotion is the supreme friend who hastens you along the path. So your actions, your yogic discipline of secret actions, this is how he sees, for example, the Dharma chakra, the Gana chakra that they had, the feast, all of that. These are part of their yogic discipline. It is not what it appears to be to people who don't understand it, like the discipline master, who saw it as a sort of, knees up or something because they were dancing and singing. But these are done on such a high level, and it's not easy and understandable to ordinary beings. No, but this is great discipline you have to have. This is not easy to do. Maintain your practice throughout the 4 periods of the day. This heartfelt longing of devotion is the supreme friend who hastens you along the path. You have everything you need. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. Generally, these companions, your Vajra brothers and sisters, are individuals who act in accord with the Dharma and practice the ultimate meaning of Mahayana. There are no better friends than these. Sons, don't go any further down, come back up. The profound Dharma, the 6 Dharmas of Mahamudra, is the essence of the Buddha's teachings. All the sutras and tantras instruction superior to this pith does not exist for those who wish to be liberated. So the supreme teachings you have, superior to all other teachings, there are nothing more superior than this. So if you wish to be liberated, sons, don't go down any further, come back up. If you know how to practice unerringly, all the paths and bhumis will be travelled at once. If you know how to practice unerringly, unmistakably, all the paths and bhumis will be travelled at once. There are many, many paths to liberation and many, many levels of liberation. But by knowing how to practice unerringly, fruition will actually manifest in this life. Like it did for Milarepa. It is satisfying not to be delayed until the next life. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. You have the wherewithal here and now to travel this path. You are at that level where you can reach this stage and manifest fruition in this very life. A good place, spiritual friend, good companions, and Dharma that hastens you along the path. Other than these 4, you could find nothing nobler, no matter where you searched. Sons, don't go down and don't go any further down, come back up. So this place is a good place. I am your spiritual friend. You have good companions and the Dharma that hastens you along the path. These are the 4 main things that you could have nothing better. Sons, don't go down any further, come back up. If you forsake these 4 paths, where will you go? Now that we have met through such good and auspicious coincidence, don't think too much about hope and fear. It would be good for you to practice longer in this place. Sons, don't go down and don't go any further down, come back up. From the Dharma palace of Akanistha this is the command of the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara, the primordial Buddha. This is the primordial Buddha's command, Vajradhara. Come back up and up. So, thus Gampopa sang, and the Guru left the imprint of his staff and his 2 feet on the boulder as he made this prophecy. And this is a place of pilgrimage. So you can see a boulder, imprint of a staff, and 2 feet. And the three men of Kham had seen the Guru come and signal with his hand, and they had heard him clearly singing this song. They were very happy and prostrated many times. So, as you can see, I'm not going back to do this again. I'm explaining as I go along, because I think otherwise you lose the momentum of the song in this instance anyway. So he's made it very clear, I think. But for us, it's a lot to take on board, because we're not at their level. We're not yet enlightened beings. So, and they're at, the very highest level. But it's very inspiring, I think, no? So, from the top of they're in the ravine, the three men have come, are still in the ravine. From the top of a boulder in the ravine, they offered him this joyous song and dance. They like to have a dance, these three, called Shomo, which means going back up. So they're answering him from way down in the ravine. In the Dharma palace of Akanistha dwells the great Vajradhara, Dorjichang, primordial Buddha. So on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, up and up. We are climbing the steps of the higher realms, going up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what a joyful, good experience. I don't know what the exact translation of Shomo is, but I think we can guess it's something very sort of joyful. Now here they they hark back to the beginning supplication when they supplicated to the Buddha and Milarepa and Tilopa and everybody. So they're kind of going back to that. In the east, in the precious monastery of Saho, dwells Tilo, Prajnabhadra. So on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, up and up. We are climbing the steps of the higher realms, going up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what a joyful, good experience. In the north, in the monastery of Pushpahari, dwells the Mahapandita Naropa. So, on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, up and up. We are climbing the steps of the higher realms, going up and up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what joyous, good experience. In the south, in the monastery in the valley of Trovo, dwells Marpa the translator. So on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, up and up. We are climbing the steps of the higher realms, going up and up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what a joyful, good experience. We should maybe just pause and say, because this part that they're repeating again and again, as they're physically going up and up the hill, the mountain, they are referring to going up and up the higher realms and never going back down to the lower realms, or just stomping down the lower realms. So they've got, everything is on a very meaningful level, not just the physical level that they're going up on. In the highland pasture of the Lachi snow range dwells great Milarepa. So on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, up and up. We are climbing the steps of the higher realms, going up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what a joyful, good experience. In the east, in glorious Taklagampo, dwells the physician of Dakpo. They're talking about Gampopa here, and talking to Gampopa. and supplicating him. So on this occasion, let the Vajra brothers make this supplication. The Guru has said, come back. So we are going back, going up and up. We are stamping down the lower realms, going up and up. Shomo, what a joyful good experience. Thus they sang, and innumerable footsteps were left in the rock from their dancing. Then the master, the master and disciples, they met and went back up together. Lord Gampopa lived in Sewa cave above the monastery. Kampa Dorjal lived in the Kunjing cave, Kunding cave. Utse Dusamchempa lived in Sekar cave. And Saltong Shogam lived in Chumik Nakpo. The three men of Kham vied with the Yogin Choyung and other accomplished ones in the signs of a Siddha. They spread and expanded the teachings of the practice lineage far and wide. So, I think that song is basically an answer to the song of Gampopa. And one of the reasons I wanted to start this course is because it not only does it segue from Milarepa, but it involves these three people who then became very, very important lineage masters. And it's just such a joyful song, isn't it? It's just so very, positive. Some of the songs are actually quite, well, you'll see when we go into different ones, but I think this is a good one to start with. So, do you have any questions about it? Feel free to ask. There are two things actually. There's the sort of more formal Lama dancing, which you can see Lama dancing. You can see that on film. There's a film of this present Karmapa doing Lama dancing. So I guess it might be something like that. But there's also Tibetan folk dancing, and I think it did. Wait a minute. Am I imagining this? Did I? When they were doing the Ganachakra, it did say, "You three have gone against the general laws of the singing, songs, and dancing." So maybe, where did I read the thing about? Oh yes, it said here, that evening they performed the sadhana of Vajrabahi and their spirits were exhilarated. They made many offerings of song and dance. Moreover, they performed the great Kagyu folk dance with this famous secret song of supplication. So one of them was a folk dance. And if you've ever seen Tibetan folk dancing with lots of waving of sleeves and things like that, I would imagine it was something along those lines. I remember once when I was in Samyeling, and there were monks from Sherabling who had been teaching us over quite a long period of time. Well, it was a good couple of months maybe in the summer, and they'd come from Sherabling to teach us dancing and making tormas and things like that. And on the last day before they left, Akram Rinpoche sort of said, okay, well, you can have a bit of a party up at the cottage where he worked and where I worked. I didn't know about this. I was there working, and then I saw they were clearing things away and making space in this big room. And I sort of, just by default of being there, I kind of sort of was invited a bit. And so they did these Tibetan folk dances. And I remember joining in, and there's a lot of flailing arms, and you're sort of going around in a circle. It is very joyful. And when you're wearing the proper costumes, they have long sleeves, and it's all like this. And I was behind one of them, and I was doing this as well. The one who was in front, he went like that, and he caught me right on the nose, and it just really hurt, and just brought tears to my eyes. He was more upset than I was, but he was like, oh! He got a bit too boisterous. Anyway, that's I sort of digress, but I think it must have been something like that. I think many people wrote them down at various times because all the songs go over a period of hundreds of years. But the first person to start compiling them was Michio Dorji, who was the 8th Karmapa. And I didn't know that until I started reading at the back of the book. There's some explanations about, because I was a little bit curious as to why the Gampopa one came at the end and why they don't seem to all be in a sequential historical order that I could see. But there must be, and I didn't quite get to grasp what order it is. I think it's quite tricky because after Michio Dorji puts them together, then of course then when he died, then other Karmapas and other masters carried on compiling the great songs. So it wasn't done by one person. But he was the first one to start to compile them together. And so I thought maybe the next part that we do, we could jump to a Michio Dorji song, which is a completely very, very different to the one that we've just read. But I thought it would be good to start off on a sort of very uplifting note. Well, there's only one way, is that, if you're inspired by it. I mean, first of all, I think if you go through it in detail, it's the quality of their practice that is inspiring. So you're aiming for that, and of course you have to start from where you're at. But when you understand, you have to kind of put your disbelief to one side a little bit and just trust in it and just open your mind to it. And then, at the very beginning, where did it say something about, yes, you really have to go, it's all in there. So this is not me, this is Gampopa saying, on this occasion, let us, Vajra brothers and sisters, supplicate, let us genuinely supplicate, and blessings will enter. That is a key. That is a key. and it's all like that. Sorry, that was not said by Gampopa. That was said by the 3 men of Kham. That was part of the supplication to the masters, and to Vajradhara and to Tilo and Naropa. So that was kind of the first phrase there. Is let us genuinely supplicate, and blessings will enter. And that's so important because, we can say, I supplicate, blah, 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 and nothing happens because we're not really properly opening and supplicating from our hearts. So that's the key, and that's the blessings will enter. The blessings, and this is another thing that had from having the fortune to be around Akam Rinpoche a lot of the time, and he would just say things quite, not casually, but in passing, but they kind of drop in, And one of the things he said was that the blessings are always there. It depends if we're open or not. He didn't say that, but that's what he meant, is that, you have to be open to receive them. The blessings don't switch on and off. The blessings are always there. It's like, sunlight or something. The sun doesn't turn off. So the blessings are always there, and if we are open in our hearts, in our minds, then they pour in. And that's how we do our practice. Of course, we practice at the level that we're at, but I think this is really important, and I think, with the teachings that we had recently from Drupal Rinpoche, he asked me what if anything I would ask him to teach about, and I just asked him to teach about how to practice Dharma in daily life, how the Dharma in daily life, discovering the Dharma in daily life. And that's what he also spoke about in Samye Ling. And he spoke about it at great length. So all the things that I wanted him to speak about here, he'd kind of already spoken about there, and he was there for a whole week. So he went through a lot of things like that. It's to demystify the Dharma and make it real for ourselves, is we have to apply it in our daily life. We have to see it in our daily life. It's not other than that. You know, these people are there, they're in this place, they're going up, and you know, they're in a physical place, they've got stuff to deal with, they've got this monk getting rid of them, they have to deal with that, you know. They spent all that time and effort and this heartfelt supplication, and then they get told to leave. Can you imagine? They must have been completely downcast at that time. And they must have been distraught, you know, having to leave their guru. They didn't even have time to say goodbye or to prostrate to him, just got told to leave, you know. I mean, we read it in that way and seeing the joyful side of it, but at that point they must have been really downhearted, doesn't even cover it, you know. So, and then for him to bring them back up, no wonder they've gone from, you know, down there to up there, really. So it illustrates this so well. I think so. I've just gone through it with you together, and by asking questions like that, then, you know, it's good, because then we can all sort of benefit from that. But you ask the questions of the text, you look at the text, you look at it word by word, phrase by phrase. What does that really mean? So you've got their supplication. You know, think about all these different things that they're doing. And also, if you've got the book, then, you know, there's the narrative, and we sort of say, oh, well, you know, he herded logs and he went and got water, and you know, it's just like, you know, he did this, he did that. But think what that actually means, you know. And then how Gampopa, you know, reminds them of what happened hundreds of years ago, when all this was prophesied by the Buddha. You know, and you were there when I was given this, you know, this prophecy. And so, you know, I promised to spread that teaching. All those assembled here also made those aspirations and vowed to help me. We should read every line and just think, what does that mean? Made these aspirations, you know? These aspirations are not just lightly, oh, I might help you out or something, you know. I mean, they were made like many lifetimes ago, and now is the time to remind them of this, you know? So this, think about it, you know, we're not just talking about, oh, I promised to do that, you know, last year or 10 years ago. It was lifetimes ago. So, of course, this requires some understanding of, birth and death and multiple lives. These teachings are not really for beginners. Because yet we are quite beginners, but if you at least have some understanding of reincarnation, of life, and, you know, multiple lives, beginning, it's not easy, you know, for us beginners. These are such a high level. But, you know, we can appreciate them, understand them, and at least have our minds open. We know that we're beginners. If we were, you know, trying to go and study metaphysics or something, or a course that we didn't know anything about, we'd have to take on trust what they were saying, because we don't have that wisdom or knowledge, and that's worldly knowledge, which doesn't compare really, but it's just a metaphor. And we know that we we won't understand everything straight away, and we won't understand it even when we've studied it. We won't understand everything straight away because we can't magic ourselves up to be at that level. But we can appreciate what they did and be inspired by it, and maybe by that we can do our practice with and keep it real, not be sort of mystifying, oh, it has to be kind of some sort of Eastern thing, and you have to do this puja and that puja, and you just see it in your life, apply it in your life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do pujas, by the way, but people sometimes think, oh, it has to be that kind of thing in another language and all the rest. That's not the key of it. That's not the point of it. That's a method. So we work with where we are and where we are in life, and meditate. Well, I tell you what. And if that's the end of the questions for now, then I just come back, full circle back to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, whose anniversary of Parinibbana is today. And I think we'll just maybe finish with a meditation, and I'm going to leave the topic of that meditation to him. But first of all, let's just adjust on the way we're sitting and adjust our posture a little bit. So we're sitting in a good posture, straighten up your back, and just let your chin tuck in a little bit so that your back's in alignment with your spine. And so the advice by His Holiness the 16th Karmapa is to concentrate on learning, contemplation, and meditation. Raise the victory banner of the practice lineage to the summit of the world. Accomplish the two benefits on this very seat. Two benefits of virtue and wisdom, accomplish them on this very seat. Concentrate on learning, contemplation, and meditation. Raise the victory banner of the practice lineage to the summit of the world. Accomplish the two benefits on this very seat. So this morning, by listening, we've been studying, learning. We've been learning something of the precious sacred Doha of Gampopa, the response to the three men of Kham. So now we can reflect on the meaning. Allow it to sink in. Be open to reflect. Imagine yourself at that time and place. And going beyond the words, beyond the reflecting, rest with the feeling. Supplicating your root guru or the Buddha and opening your heart and mind to receive the blessings. So we'll finish off our course, our today's session, with dedicating the merit of our practice. A practice which involved study or learning, contemplation and meditation. Oh, by this merit may I obtain omniscience, defeat the enemy wrongdoing, and so free all beings from the ocean of existence, with its stormy waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Precious mind of awakening, may it arise in those who are without it, and never fade from those who hold it, but continually grow from strength to strength. May the glorious Lama's lotus feet be firm. May bliss and joy fill the reaches of space. As we gather the accumulations and purify obscurations, may I and all without exception be swiftly brought to Buddhahood. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope it's been useful. These are very, very profound songs, and so maybe we just can scratch the surface in one reading like this, but then it's for you to look into, and then we'll try and do one a month if you wish. But they're for you to work with, to study and to contemplate and to meditate with. Okay? Thank you for coming. See you next time.